feel like the Halloween store has opened early this year, but that makes sense. Those stores always open, you know, something goes out of business and they put that in for a month or whatever. But if you want to dress up as a Secret Service agent, I think you could go there. Somebody sent me an article. Oh no, it was, somebody sent me a tweet from, I forget her name, Susan from Real Clear Politics. But they had an article. They're talking about people dressing up as Secret Service agents and fooling the Secret Service. I mean, not speculation, there's an incident that they're citing where this happened. So I mean, what the hell is going on with the Secret Service that somebody can put on a costume and fool them? They're pretty dumb if that can happen. I really recommend that people follow on X. There's been a lot of activity on there. I do think Elon Musk has improved it, separate from anything else we want to say about him. I think it works better from a user interface standpoint. Has more features, the video streaming, I like that a lot. And they aren't kicking me off as much as they were under the previous Twitter. So follow me on X at JG_CSTT, but not just to follow me. There's been a lot of stuff that's coming out on there. I've been talking for the past couple days about this GigaSync project. I think people get it, what it is and what it's about. Some people are still confused. It's not like an open source website that everybody can go to and do something with. I don't know that something like this could be done that way with current technology, and I mean, I certainly don't know how to do it, but people are speaking to me in code in the chat, and I don't necessarily understand it, but point is, a lot of activity on Twitter, and it's way different than YouTube or Odyssey or any of these other social media and video platforms, in that its emphasis is really on the interaction. And although I do put these long videos on there, the bulk of the stuff that I'm putting on there, see, here's this Cockroach Labs. What's up with Cockroach Labs?
It's a data company.
What is it?
I think it's a data company.
I think they're doing some like stealing all our data, like spy type stuff. You not down with the cucaracha?
I don't know.
All right. Hey, what do you think about the Donald Trump assassination attempt? Is that Secret Service trying to kill him, or just a 20-year-old dude on the roof?
I think probably a mixture of both.
A little bit of both. 20-year-old dude was there, but
Yeah, they probably took advantage, like, okay.
hire him for the CIA or something?
I don't know.
Maybe,
They
right?
could be, like, mistaken motive.
It could be. Say hello to the cockroaches. Take it easy, man. People look into that Cockroach Labs. I think it's doing something with your personal data that you probably wouldn't like. Uh-oh, something sketchy going down right there, without a doubt. Anyway, I encourage people to check out X because there's a lot of interaction there, and it seems to be the hub, not only of information and news and all that, but really social engineering as well. And that's what I want to talk about, because there's a lot of things that were going on in American Glass Research. Even that guy doesn't seem to have too many of the facts at his fingertips. But like most people, I think he's got a lot of stuff to do. He's busy with the Cockroach Lab, whatever they're doing there. And so he doesn't know, he doesn't care. There's a lot of attractive women walking around who don't care or know. But people on X seem interested. Is this Elon Musk? They want to know. And so here's the other thing. I always like to give people some insight to help them better understand social engineering so that they can avoid it. And I'm not telling people what to do. I'm not saying don't listen to this person, don't listen to that person. I'm just saying, hey, here's what I observe, here's what I think about it. You might think something else. This stuff that I'm talking about, these are pure opinions, my personal conclusions that I've come to from looking at these facts, this evidence, this data, these individuals have put into the public domain. I was talking about that ginger jackass, loudmouth schmuck, putative Nazi Gary, what's his name, with the tactical, you know, this company where they're hiring, he's got a cadre over there of operators, X this, X that, Army, Marine snipers, whatever. And listen, I don't want honorable veterans who have made sacrifices and behaved honestly in carrying out their duty to think that I am anti-military. I recognize that there are dangerous people and criminals in the world, and that we sometimes, unfortunately, reach a point where negotiation no longer works and force must be used. So it would be naive to think that we could exist as a country with money and resources that other people would want to take and not have any kind of military. So I recognize that it is necessary, and that the honorable people who carry out the roles that we expect, duplicitous, obviously stupid schmucks and losers like Gary, we expect them to be doing this stuff. But just like the corrupt people who run our government, we have corrupt people in the military, and I suspect that Gary is one of them. I don't know. I haven't been able to prove that yet, so I'm just speculating right now, sharing my pure opinion. I hope Gary calls his lawyer, sends him a transcript of this video, and let's see what the lawyer thinks. By the way, Gary, lawyers want money from you. They don't necessarily care what happens to me. You might choose to sue me. You've done a lot of stupid things in the past week, but this video is not about Gary. This video is about what was going on in American Glass Research, and I'm talking about Gary because him and his friends seem not only remarkably interested in the topic, which is normal, I'm also very interested in it. Thousands of people, maybe more, across the internet are also interested in it. So just being interested in it, not suspicious. Just making YouTube videos, also not suspicious. But the way in which some of these people have chosen to focus on me and some of my colleagues like John Cullen, this is something that they've been doing, and by they I mean malicious social engineers like stupid Gary and some of his idiotic friends, quite probably the individuals listed in this cadre of morons. I don't know, but they work for a company that uses a logo that a lot of people think says these guys are Nazis, and obviously none of them are made uncomfortable by that. They don't have to do it to satisfy me, but just like you might not choose to have a business with a Confederate flag in the front of it if you care at all about what customers and other people might think, maybe keep your personal political beliefs outside of your business. This is up to you. I'm not telling Gary what to do. I'm just looking at his company logo and telling you what it makes me think. Then I look at his behavior where he says, oh, Jason is a Jewy little New York guy. He's probably Epstein's retarded cousin or something. Or I think that's what he said, Epstein's retarded cousin. He's a hateful Nazi asshole. But the reason I'm talking about him is because I've noticed a little swarm around Gary, and I actually noticed the swarm before I noticed Gary. In fact, the swarm, it put my spider sense on alert. This is not the Spider-Man hat today. This is actually a hat given to me by John Cullen. I wore this hat on the Sniper Day. I prefer this because without a logo, some people misconstrue. Yeah, there's a great example. I had that Spider-Man hat. I still have it. I'm very proud of that hat. That might be one of the last remaining amazing Spider-Man crew hats on planet Earth. I think a lot of people lose things like hats. They fall off of boats. That was 14 years ago we made that movie. But I like that hat. And so I wear it occasionally, but some people said, oh, that symbol, it reminds me of something evil. And I said, well, I don't mean for it to present a symbol that makes people think I'm projecting something evil. Look, this is a Russian dog, I think. Is it Russian or Afghan? What's the name of this breed of dog?
Russian Wolfhound. It's friendly.
It's a Russian kind of dog, right?
Russian Wolfhound.
Russian wolfhound.
It's like a
Super large. And what's the characteristics
in
of this
Russia,
breed?
they can kill real wolf.
Kill a wolf? I believe it. It's gigantic. How old is this dog?
6 years.
And what is the dog? What is his name?
Tolstoy.
Tolstoy.
Yeah,
Ah,
they're like,
I like it.
Right.
What do you think about the Donald Trump assassination attempt? Was that a
Oh my
20-year-old
God,
kid on the
yes.
roof? Or do you think it was a big conspiracy to try to kill him?
he's lucky to be alive.
He is lucky, but do you think it was just that one kid, or was it a
No,
government
I think
conspiracy?
it's more than that. I'm sure.
You sure it's just the one guy? All right.
So far.
Take care, Tolstoy. Have a nice day.
Tolstoy.
That's a tall dog. But back to the idiots on the internet. I noticed this cadre of morons. Fake named accounts that were new. I mean, you'd think they'd have some new methods already. But I don't know. I guess they just figure, you know, roll out stupid George and all these old tactics and people will fall for it. Maybe it's working. That's why I like to make videos like this, to let people know, because it's generally correct, I think, that most people see this activity online and they initially don't understand it. I didn't understand it for a while. I've been at this for 7 years. Remember that movie, Castaway, right? That's the one where Tom Cruise is on the island with the volleyball. And you remember he lands there and he's kind of this like fat office guy, not fat, but you know, beer belly kind of office driving to work guy. And he's crying on the beach that he can't even catch a crab or whatever. And then they sort of, you know, smash cut to 5 years later and he's like Robinson Crusoe spearing fish. The spear comes into frame and kills the fish and he picks it up right away and eats it like an expert because he's been in that environment for years. And it's like anything. The first time you play the video game, you fall off the cliff right away. The second move, you realize I got to jump right there and get over the cliff. Now I'm running down the hill. Then a log hits you. Now you got to jump over the log. So I've been playing this video game for 7 years. And I know where a lot of the hidden gotchas are. And I can recognize these stupid assholes from a mile away. So this cadre of idiots, not necessarily the people whose faces aren't shown in that picture. And by the way, what the hell is the point of having a who we are, here's our team, and then not showing any of the people? You know, these guys are all so super mysterious. And Gary, he's an absolute idiot from the standpoint of whatever it is that he's trying to do. Run a business, you know, be some kind of West Virginia warlord or whatever the hell he is. But you just like go around publicly committing civil torts, antagonizing, insulting people. And then he threatened to, you know, bust my teeth out and put me in the hospital. Who would be impressed if I, at some point in life, met up with Gary and some guy who's like half a foot taller and 100 pounds heavier than me and, you know, 15 years younger and has military training? Who would be surprised if that guy beat me up or put me in the hospital or killed me? And what would that prove apart from I'm correct? He's a thug moron who, that's how he deals with things. My issue with him was that he put out a video that obviously contained at least wrong information. Now, I didn't initially assume that he did that on purpose to be a fraud. And I was actually particularly sensitive to making that accusation because Gary initially came on my radar. Did I say Tom Hanks instead of Tom Cruise? What about? This is the problem with checking the comments, is there's a whole conversation going on there that I'm not fully paying attention to. But I never saw this guy, Gary, before he decided that John Cullen was incorrect about muzzle flash in the window of American Glass Research. Now the irony is, and I mentioned this yesterday, I actually partially agreed with Gary. I do not believe we were seeing muzzle flash coming out of that window. And I wanted to talk to Gary because it's like if John is my doctor, and he's a great doctor, but one day I go there and he tells me something that I just feel like, I don't know, he says there's nothing wrong, but my stomach still bothers me, maybe I'll go get a second opinion. That's how I was looking at it. I was going to have a conversation with Gary and say, look, I don't know you. I was going to lead with, I agree with you, Gary. John and I had a disagreement about this. He insists it's gun muzzle blast, and I say it's not for this reason and the other. I'd like to hear more about your opinion because you are somebody who appears to know more about guns than I do, but we never got to that because he doesn't answer his phone. And that could be normal, but I find that all of these kind of like spooky whatever special operator guys that they are, they don't answer the phone. They're very cagey about answering the phone, and believe me, I understand that. All they have to do is watch Crowdsource the Truth for a little while to realize how embarrassed certain people get, and sometimes even lose their jobs when they answer the phone, and I'm on the other end. Not everyone. It's just people who are doing things that they shouldn't be doing that I happen to find out about or figure out. You know, I can't even mention the names of some of these people. You'll have to ask Ivan Raiklin. He knows the name of who I'm talking about, but some of these people lose their jobs. Some of these people lose entire government departments. It's fascinating. I wish I could talk to everyone about that. I'm working on it, but I'm not a lawyer. Any of this stuff that I say, whether it's just a general statement or something directed at Gary, it's not legal advice, Gary. I can't represent you, and nothing I say is intended to be legal advice because I'm not a lawyer. But I noticed all these fake named accounts, and they were showing up, and see, this is a systematized practice where they understand what's going on. See, they come at us. I'm talking now specifically about the past month. So here we have another motorcycle gang delivery deal going on. See, I think some of these illegal weed stores, it's like the Sopranos. This is like a organized crime central hub right there. Oh, I guess that's out. That little kid might be associated with the bicycle gang back there. It's terrible what's happening. And we got little kids. So that little kid is going to crash right into an adult going that fast. That would have just really injured me. I noticed him at the last second. And the problem is we have asshole adults who don't follow the rules. You know, that kid might be in the unfortunate situation of not having very responsible parents. As a matter of fact, every kid of every ethnicity who is born Upper East Side, wherever, I see them riding around on bicycles with their parents nowhere around. That's a problem with the parents. But these morons with these fake name accounts, they come out of nowhere. And we spoke about one of them yesterday, that guy Gus. I noticed him right away. I'm telling you, I can smell the stink of this action because it's inauthentic. I don't know. I've been exposed to it enough here now. So anyway, I noticed a bunch of these accounts. Seemed like social engineers to me. Gus was one of them. Blocked them all. And the thing is, it does reduce their effectiveness in terms of some of the things that they're trying to do if you block them. There are some people who don't like to block. There's some people who block like crazy. You should do what you like. If I see somebody, there's a lot of reasons that go into deciding if I'm going to block or not block something. That dude was sketchy as hell. Did you see that sketchy dude? What do you think about the Donald Trump assassination attempt? Was it a 20-year-old kid climbing on the roof, or is this an elaborate conspiracy from the top down?
We're living in a lot of different paradigms here. There's a lot of different things going on. If you know, you know. I don't want to say too much, but if you know, you know.
Now, you sound like you might have an accent. Are you from New York?
Yes, Brooklyn, born and raised.
Born in Brooklyn.
Yes,
all right, good. Brooklyn
yes.
strong,
yes,
man.
Brooklyn strong.
Take care of yourself.
You
What do you
too.
think? So is Donald Trump going to win?
Yeah, he's going to win.
You going to vote for him?
Yeah.
You're my man.
Of course,
Donald
of
Trump,
course.
2024. You take care, man.
I mean, from the beginning, everyone loved Donnie, but then after all
When
of
he
a
became
sudden,
president, right.
then at the end of the day, it's politics as usual.
So you grew up in Brooklyn.
Yes. So
The Eastern District of New York
Yes.
District Attorney. Very corrupt, right?
Well, at the end of the day, I'm not going to say what I don't know, but the proof is in the pudding. I'm one of the old school guys. Is if you see something, ultimately, it doesn't take rocket science to know what's going on in the back doors.
But I'd like you to correct me if
Elaborate.
I'm wrong. I
Yeah.
might not understand this
Okay.
clearly. It's my perception that
Yeah.
there's a lot of people in
Yeah.
the black community
Yeah.
who I think rightly believe that the courts are corrupt, and not just if you're black or white,
Yeah.
either if you're rich and
Yeah.
part of the in crowd,
Yeah.
because look, OJ got off, it
Yeah,
seems
yeah,
like he
yeah.
killed her.
Yeah.
If you have money and you're
Yeah.
politically connected, and
Yeah.
Donald Trump is white,
Yeah.
is this true?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, again, there's a lot of people in many different communities that you've seen that you know have done situations and had the ability to pay certain things to make sure they didn't come out. And you'll see now in a lot of like the hip hop community, a lot of things are coming
Did he?
out. Exactly.
Look at that.
Exactly. And
So
you know
what-
it didn't come out from before because somebody got paid off.
Well, I think it might be more with Diddy.
Yeah.
People have said that he's actually working for the government as kind of like a confidential informant for the
Yeah.
FBI. Have you ever, in your life growing up in Brooklyn,
Yeah.
have you ever known anybody who got arrested and then came out of jail and was like an informant?
Yeah, me, we don't deal with rats on this side.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But that's how they get there,
Yeah.
right? That's how they get
Yo,
the
what's
people
your
who
name?
Jason Goodman, and you can
Goodman,
see this on.
Giraldi Jean-Baptiste. Go ahead.
Do you have some Instagram
Oh
or
yes,
something you want to tell?
Mr. Jean-Baptiste. I own a sales training and psychology company.
Wow.
Yeah, Unleash Your Sales Greatness, unleashyoursalesgreatness.com. I help people from all around the world take it from idea to reality. And I'm a firm believer in self-education because the school system is made to indoctrinate you.
You're right.
And if you don't know, you don't know. But if you do want to know, unleashyoursalesgreatness.com. Holla at your boy.
I'm glad I
Yeah.
stopped to
Nice
talk to you, man.
Jay.
Good to meet you.
I'm always here. Let's figure out something.
You got it.
Find it.
Crowdsource the Truth on YouTube. Crowdsource the Truth.
Got it.
I'll see you there, man. Thanks. Look at that. See, there are a lot of nice people in New York City, and you can get into interesting conversations and learn about other people's points of view. But then, see, look at how nice and friendly that guy was. And then some other people are just trying to be jerks, riding their bicycles around. Anyway, back to the social engineering. Because you see, there's people who don't want you to realize that you could just walk up to someone, shake their hand. I mean, who knows? I could go to that guy's website, find it completely fascinating, become friends, associates with him. Who knows? The point is, there's a lot of people who want separation. They want black people to hate or fear white people. They want white people to hate or fear black people. They want everybody to hate and fear Iran and China and all this. All they're doing is stoking fear. But back to the immediate situation with these operators who seem to be focused on YouTube. I was getting a lot of stupid messages from these people and blocking them. We spoke about that guy, Gus, and the person who had been interacting with them that drew my attention to Gus, and then I blocked him and there was a bit of a conversation about it. Today said, oh yeah, you were right, that guy Gus saying and doing stuff that seems pretty crazy. What's going on there? Some strange sound, something. Anyway, I'm gonna get stuck in the middle of the street here, but whatever, I'm committed to, I'll be in the middle. I just noticed a lot of these accounts and the things that they were talking about and the things that they were interested in, you can tell. It's like a little kid, right? When you have a kid who's, I don't have kids, but I've, see other people's kids, I'm thinking of like 10, 12, old enough to be smart, but still a little kid, where they're making full sentences and complex thoughts and trying to influence people, but they're not that experienced at it yet. You know what I mean? Like if a little kid wants to go to McDonald's and you say, okay, we'll go at 5. And then they come over and they start talking about something else, but it's kind of like a subtle way to sneak in these not so subtle, McDonald's. In other words, you can tell that this person is still super focused on what it is that you're like, why are you so focused on that? And so I'm talking about this ground floor situation there at American Glass Research. Now, this was a pretty early focus because John had done, and other people did as well, I wasn't looking at that other research, but I was talking to John, this crack thump analysis where we're measuring the time differential between the sound of the gun, the gunpowder igniting and firing the bullet out of the gun, the difference between that and the time that somebody being shot at, somebody downrange, hears the snap of the sound barrier being broken. So that, we have all become aware, is a very well-known technique. You can, with 3 of those, triangulate and figure out all kinds of detailed things. This is not my area of expertise. I don't claim to know how to do that. I don't claim to be able to figure that out. I'm aware that that's a thing. I don't know how to build cars or fix them, but I'm aware that you get in it and step on the gas and it drives. Anyway, so from that initial analysis, we had some idea of where possible shooting locations were. Remember, John was drawing these circles, giving this plus or minus accuracy, and we're in the middle of a field. So if you've got a whatever radius circle in a field, and there's a building within that radius, it sort of becomes the most obvious location for somebody to be inside there shooting, and that was the logic part of it. I'm not really sure what's going on there. But so we had a good sense that there could have been, John felt that it was not the guy on the roof, and I agreed. We're also evaluating this from the standpoint of what do we know about other assassinations and how are they done, and would it make sense? I mean, one shooter, if it is a planned conspiracy, we've seen all these videos of people leaving American Glass Research. A lot of people have sent me this video of a police special operator leaving there, and he props something up against the stairs. People have been arguing for days if it's a rifle or a tripod. It looks like a crowbar to me in the video. And I do want to encourage people, please don't send me blurry, terrible screen captures and just like say, oh, look at this. Because first of all, if you're messing around with blurry, crappy screen captures, you're wasting your own time and mine. If you think there's something interesting in it, you gotta find the original source video. And I realize that can be quite difficult sometimes, but a lot of people now are looking at the body cameras that have been released by Judicial Watch, and you can go back to that because it complicates things, it introduces confusion, and it wastes a lot of time when every time somebody identifies something, they're sending a new screen capture from a worse version of the thing, and every person who wants to help and contribute to this online crowdsourced effort first has to spend a ton of time figuring out where this clue came from. It's just counterproductive. I'm not telling people what to do. I'm trying to provide helpful advice that will move things forward. And the reason I'm doing that is because if people who are truly focused on trying to participate online to learn more things and say, hey, I saw something at this time in this video, is there anything else that you can find from GigaSync to find it? My point is there are people who are legitimately interested in finding the truth and advancing this effort. This is interesting to see an empty school playground. That looks like a pretty nice one for a city school. I don't know, maybe it looks like a jail to some people. But I just want to help people to make this process more efficient so that we can all get a better result. And it's occurring to me that it wasn't that long ago that if I said, like, for instance, Mia told us that she was working as a waitress, but yet she's shooting digital video, uploading it to the internet. She was able to send me a copy of it. I don't think it would be that long ago that a waitress at a Chili's would just have no idea how to do that. And I'm just saying people are becoming more sophisticated. How many people who are watching this right now know a lot of little, tidbit kind of details about video compression and frame rates and all this kind of stuff that maybe you never thought about before? Here we go. Not a ZR1. Now, this is interesting. It's not a Z06 either, but they got some custom thing. I don't think that Stingray is normally there, but I could be wrong. but that's a pretty cool. They just announced the ZR1 yesterday. 1,064 horsepower, pretty crazy. My point is, everybody is becoming more sophisticated in their understanding of technology, and there really is no reason why people couldn't continue to do that. So I'm just suggesting that when you take screen captures, when you're examining videos, if it's so low quality and you're there struggling, like, is this a gun? Is it a... Ditch that sample and try to find a better one, because this is useless. It's pointless. You might as well go look for faces of dogs in the clouds, because what we're looking at really technically, John got upset when I said this, this is not evidence that we're looking at. What do I mean when I say that? These are elements, they're clues, they could lead us to evidence. When I'm talking about evidence, see, I remain hopeful that Donald Trump will become the president, and there's going to be a series of criminal trials surrounding this whole thing. By the way, I can't give legal advice, but this is just friendly advice. Anybody who's involved in Gary's stupid operation, if you are knowingly interfering and spreading lies, I could be wrong. Maybe you're allowed to do that and say it's your opinion, but it seems like you could be complicit. Like, if this whole thing gets figured out, and maybe they're so confident that that will never happen, but it seems like they are complicit, right? If you're covering up a criminal's effort to murder someone, and as a matter of fact, they murdered Corey Comparatore, anybody who is involved with this at all, who's trying to prevent the truth from coming out, is a horrible, evil person. I don't care what you've done in your past life. You could be a nun, you could be a military hero. If you are now engaged, and I'm not saying that anybody I'm talking about is, I've become suspicious that they might be based on their behavior and public domain evidence that I've seen. You might see that evidence and form a completely different conclusion. Good example, the window. John Cullen looked at that evidence and he felt it was muzzle flash. I looked at it and I said, I don't think so. Evidence of muzzle flash that I've seen on video and film in the past doesn't persist for 6 or 7 frames. Therefore, it cannot be muzzle flash. It must be something else. I agree with John that it is incredibly strange that the phenomenon observed in the window there is directly coincident with the shots fired at Donald Trump. Now, there's another fucking asshole I want to talk about. The guy's name is Nathan, what is it? Klopp? Yeah, Mia is Cop, this guy is Klopp, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, this is a guy, got a photography company, NWK Photography. He seems to mostly photograph cybosylic mushrooms and his cat. But whatever, he's a photographer. He's part of this crew of ex-Marine snipers and military whatevers who are now digital media experts. See, according to them, John Cullen, because he wasn't in the military going off and taking orders from incredible idiots like General Michael Flynn with his 1.25 GPA, and I'm not trying to be some kind of academic snob. I don't think I had a very good GPA. It was like 3 point something, but I didn't really apply myself in high school, but I think I could have never shown up and gotten better than a 1.2. Michael Flynn, and I'm not basing my assessment of his stupidity on that just decrepit grade point average. That's just one factor. I thought he was stupid before I learned about that. The guy can't even spell douchebag, and he's a liar, but the point is, he's an idiot. He's not a hero, and whatever he was involved in Afghanistan or elsewhere, I suspect he involved himself somehow. Have I gone to? No, we gotta go way up there. I suspect Michael Flynn was somehow involved with Felix Sater. we had a similar response from the social engineering world when I started going to the Felix Sater trial and learning things about Felix Sater. And remember how upset Michael Flynn got when I questioned Andrew Weissman about his relationship with Felix Sater. Weissman lied and said he doesn't know Felix Sater. We know, and we have signed documents, and Sater has admitted, those guys have interacted for the past 25 years. Andrew Weissman wrote Felix Sater's name in his book 11 times, and in the book admits that he personally told Robert Mueller to bring in Felix Sater as a cooperating witness in the Russiagate investigation of Donald Trump. So, again, there's a lot of unknowns in that case. I haven't solved it. I don't know the answers. Crowdsource the truth is not crowdfunding the truth. I'm trying to find the truth. So if you know things about it, you can tell me. If you just want to watch, you can do that. If you want to sponsor the show, that is super helpful. You can go to odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com. What are you saying, sir?
Brother, can you please help me with a can of Pepsi?
I'll do that.
Okay,
Pepsi, you sure Pepsi is good for you? You want a Pepsi? Hey, can I get a Pepsi, please? I don't generally do this, but for some reason, I'm willing to buy this man a Pepsi. Pepsi's terrible for you. It's dangerous to interact with homeless people. I really don't recommend it, but I was sort of photographing him from pointing at that object d'art right there. I don't know why. I just feel like buying this guy a Pepsi. All you have is ginger ale.
Come take it.
This one right here he wants. I think it might be warm. It's all right. He doesn't mind. It's a little warm, yeah.
I'm gonna give you 15 minutes.
Pepsi, thank you. There we go. So anyway, there you go, sir. Be careful. Have a nice day.
Thank you so much.
All right, so that guy gets a Pepsi. Point of the matter is, right, you can sponsor the show, Subscribestar, Patreon, Odyssey, all that. Oh yeah, and remember, something's happening in November on Patreon. I'm not quite clear. Apple is forcing them to increase the price, so if you're using the Patreon app, don't do that. It's not compatible with the secure video streams that I send to keep the social engineers from stealing my business. That was the first thing that they tried to do. Part of the reason I've set up this whole direct-to-viewer sponsorship program is that when I first started Crowdsource the Truth, all they would do is keep knocking out my YouTube channels, and I could never get anywhere. Is that Elon Musk driving a cab? So now the show has persisted because of the generous people who sponsor on Subscribestar and Patreon and Substack and Odyssey. And Odyssey is doing I think they're done with their system-wide update, and people noticed there was a little glitch happening on my channel. So Odyssey is fantastic because within like 2 days, I got with their tech support and they fixed it. They said there was something wrong with the transcoding module. But I like it when they identify something wrong and then change it, and then now it's working again. So that's good. Odyssey is one of the best software companies I've ever dealt with in terms of, interaction with their tech support. So I highly recommend that. But they have all kinds of strategies for trying to prevent me, first of all, from bringing you these videos. Second of all, from earning any money at all. And third of all, now, look, there's a confluence of things happening because they don't want me doing the type of research that I'm doing. People have seen this GigaSync, or at least the first things that it's been starting to produce, allowing me to search the videos more effectively and find things and show people samples that can help other people find things. It's quite interesting, and it's a fun and educational, interactive, exercise, I've been discovering some important things and upgrading it every single day. But it takes a lot of time. People might notice that I'm starting some of these videos a little later. I wanted to do this much earlier today, but I've been getting stuff going in the GigaSync. And I've also noticed that it feels like I'm like in a pit, involved in a fight, because there's all these people coming at me like this cybercilic genius Nate. And it was very strange because he had a pretty small account, less than 1,000 followers when I first noticed him. But he was posting a lot of really good and interesting things, like inside information that you're like, how would this guy know this? Maybe, I forget what I first saw from him, maybe about Uric or something. But this is as important to observe and study as the evidence recorded on video and audio and photographs, because who are these guys and why are they hanging around this thing? And I'm not saying that they don't have a right to do that. They have just as much of a right as I do. I'm just observing some of the subtleties of their behavior, and I find it weird if their intention is to actually figure out what happened there. It's much more consistent with the behavior of somebody who wants to throw off any legitimate investigation and cause people to not understand exactly what happened on that day. And I will explain what they have done that causes me to believe that. And then people are free to come to their own conclusions about this. I am not telling anybody what to think or not to think. I'm just sharing my opinions and helping you understand how I arrived at those opinions. So the GigaSync, people have seen it. Which one of these is the one I want to show first? Our buddy Nate, he produced a video. Let's see, what do we got here? He produced a video where we're talking about this event in the windows at American Glass Research. And so he's got breaking news here from his NWK photography. Can people see that? So he's not just a photographer, he's breaking news. And what he's saying is, no, that's headlights reflecting. And you can see there, it does look like there are two headlights reflecting. Now, just take notice of this frame, because also in his video, he does include the timestamp, but I'm not gonna play his video because he'll likely try to strike it from YouTube. And this is a fair use making commentary on what appears to be chicanery, not Sean Connery, but a deception, chicanery, lying. Look at this. Is that a municipal camera with maybe that is, see, I'm pretty sure they have a network like that thing, ShotSpotter, where posts like that have microphones, and I'm pretty sure in real time, if a gun goes off, that's the idea, that the cops can figure out where it is. So, I don't know. John had suggested, wouldn't it be smart to have mobile ShotSpotter there? And I agreed with him at the time, but in retrospect, I think somebody in charge of that security detail would probably say, no, we're not gonna make a plan that includes the guy getting shot at. We're gonna have a security plan that makes it virtually impossible for that to ever occur. That's a seaplane. I missed it taking off, but that was cool. I like these sort of little things. It starts to feel like Grand Theft Auto when you come over to this part of the city, right? Because I sometimes hang out very near the apartment, and I know that a lot of people like to see New York and maybe listen to these ramblings while they're gardening or cleaning the house and glance over and see the various things. Now look at that. I'm not sure what's going on over there, but something kind of under construction or something. All that blue stuff. It's hard to focus through a fence with this. I don't know, there's something going on over there. So Nate points out that he's saying there's headlights in the window. And the thing that's interesting is, I noticed this account right away. It's posting a lot. And I said, well, that's interesting. This I'd like to interact and talk with this person and share information and see what they know. And I followed him, and what I think is pretty normal behavior. See there, he's identifying the headlights, 2 headlights, but look at where he is relative to the building. That's the second window from that rightmost corner of the building. Let's just keep that in mind while we continue to talk about this. So he shows that building. He says, oh no, these are headlights, not muzzle flash. I'm not saying it's muzzle flash. I think it's an infrared light in there. Why do you think that, Jason? Well, because infrared light is invisible to the human eye, but it is visible to CMOS and other types of electronic photosensors typically used in cell phones. It's going to be pretty much only CMOS sensors today in those types of devices. And anyway, the point is, normally it's not a problem because, there's UV light all around us, particularly when we're outside. So these phones have filters on them that filter out the UV light. But like any filter of anything, if there's too much or if the concentration is too intense, the infrared filter may be insufficient. And by the way, I'm not saying that's definitely an infrared light in the window. I'm just saying I don't think it's muzzle flash. I don't think it's the reflection of an SUV. So it must be something else. Let's continue to explore Nate and his theory that it's an SUV. So people saw with the GigaSync that last night I synced up, I think it's body camera, I can't remember the number, 210, I think, are the last 3 digits. There's 210 and 211 on there. This is the officer who arrives on the scene, parks at American Glass, gets out of the car with the body camera on him, runs up on over to American Glass where Unsteady Dave and all of his, there's a guy who's carrying a gun. I haven't focused on those people quite so much. There's names for them. Red shirt guy, according to this. See, that was also interesting. Everybody else that I see on my conversations on Twitter, on my tweets, on John Cullen's tweets, they all think that Unsteady Dave is Unsteady Dave. I think a lot of people sometimes call him Shaky Dave. It's a little bit of a play on my nickname for him, but I find it interesting that NWK Nate wants him to be Red Shirt Guy. Somebody wants him to be Red Shirt Guy. Who else used to do that? Change all the nicknames for people that I would come up with. Oh yeah, George Webb. Why did he do that? I don't exactly know. I never got an answer to that. I could speculate. I think with me, or at least I thought, and until I find a better explanation, I still think this. I think George and Oki Marshall Richards were trying to test me personally to see how susceptible to suggestion I might be. Because when we first started, I was somewhat fascinated with this concept of bringing on, confidential informants, and that the big deal was, hey, I'm willing to use my real identity and show my face and all whatever. And if you want to share information, you can tell it to me and I will, keep your identity safe and protect your identity, and I'll talk about it. And then they developed strategies for attacking that, having fake people contact me with fake information. But I would give these people, code names like Queen Tut and stuff, and George would always change it. Strange. So without even thinking about it, that has just happened. I called this guy Unsteady Dave. I've explained it before, but there might be new people watching who haven't heard it, because the Steadicam operator for 21st Century 3D was Steady Dave. And this stupid idiot, Unsteady Dave, is the opposite. Steady Dave could walk around all day with like a 48-pound 3D camera on a Steadicam, and the shots were like butter. Now I have this. I don't need a Steadicam, and the phone camera weighs ounces. So this is the UN. We have a lot of incompetent globalist assholes who think they have some authority, but they really should be kicked out. They're international criminals, this organization, and this guy is one of them. I hate these UN operators and these fucking UN cops. Because the problem is this is an illegitimate piece of shit. And the reason why I wanted to come over here is because this is very much like Gary and his fucked up friends. This is presented to us as some sort of human rights, freedom-oriented, magnanimous, wonderful organization. I wonder what she thinks of the assassination. But it's actually a giant piece of shit that goes around the world raping children, taking advantage of the underprivileged, stealing money, coming into New York with their diplomats and abusing the law here. Stupid asshole cops like that who, on occasion, I've seen when they have like the UN whatever, those guys actually leave this building area and attempt to exert their authority over me. I got into a screaming match with one of them one time and told him he has no authority over me. He's not even American. And the NYPD was there, and I think they realized that I was raising a valid point, but it wasn't what they wanted. Because I think if I walk into the UN, that guy has all kinds of jurisdiction. Charles has even said that if you're standing on this sidewalk, he might be right about that. They could do stuff to you, but not on 3rd Avenue. And I think they know that. So again, I'm not advising anybody to do any of the things that I do. You might watch me and say, that's stupid, Jason, and many times you're gonna be right. But back to Nate. So he shows us that video, and I'll hand it to him. There are 2 lights in that window from that position. That might be a reflection that Nate has there. Ah, Jason, Nate got you. Why are you saying he's a jerk and a dick and all that? Well, because we're not done explaining this yet. And it was interesting because this all came about today. See, I detect that somebody really doesn't like it that I've made this GigaSync because maybe they didn't anticipate that it would be done, or maybe they didn't anticipate the effectiveness of something like that once it was done. But now that I've done it, we're learning things about these poor examples. Oh my God, what is Clayton Morris doing here? Mike Flynn joins redacted. Oh, great. So, see, I'm wondering what is going on with Mike Flynn. We never really found out about what the story was with that vice presidential filing. I did find it strange that Laura Loomer, right away, when I sent that to her and said, hey, what is this? Can you ask Roger Stone? These guys look like European assholes here for the UN. I asked her if she could ask Roger Stone about the filing and whatever, and she just right away went on Twitter and said, oh, this is fake. That annoyed me, and I'm not sure why she did that. But it's not fake. It was a real filing. I think what she might have meant is that Flynn is not Trump's selection for VP. I would not have a difficult time believing that Laura might know things like that from the Trump side before they would happen. Brian has the gigaset. Yeah, because let's talk about gigahertz. The GigaSync is a GigaSync because it synchronizes gigabytes of disparate data. Cool Raptor driving away. It allows me to synchronize and search gigabytes of data. I can search it by words. Somebody was asking yesterday, can you do transcripts of all these? And yes, it's done. By the way, I didn't write this software. I'm not a developer. This is a very complicated Adobe Premiere project, and I've been using Adobe Premiere for, when did it come out? I had version 1. So anybody could do this, but that could be said of almost anything. I can't be the center forward for the Knicks, but in terms of coming up with an idea for a YouTube thing or an interactive Twitter thing, it could be done. So let's start looking into why Nate is playing a game, it seems. I could be wrong. Nate is free to contact me, but I don't think he's going to do that because, like I said, when his account was small and I followed him, see, it's my view that if you're on Twitter and on X sharing information, it's because you feel like this information is important and you want people to know it. And therefore, when, I thought that was somebody I know, but it's not. More UN clowns. If you're on social media wanting to share information, it's my impression, and I could be wrong, that you think that information is important and you want as many people as possible to hear it. So therefore, when somebody with a much larger account starts to interact with your account, it's consistent with the strategy of wanting to share your information.